Welcome back to TC Talk Sports. As you know, I'm doing a preview for every team in the NBA, but I have made a decision, a big decision. I have about 6 or 7 teams left, so instead of giving previews for those teams, I'm going to recap their season so far, still give my opinions, and just talk about what's been going on with these teams so far into this season. I know it's not going to be the same as my past videos, but I think we're getting too deep into the season now for me to give full previews, because by now people kind of already know what's going on with the teams. I'm still going to have full predictions about the teams and some players at the end of the videos, so definitely keep watching for those. I'll still go into off-season moves, trades, draft night selections, but mostly just going to be talking about what's going on right now and how good or how bad these certain teams have been. First team I'm going to be talking about is the New Orleans Pelicans. Before I get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button on this channel. Go over to TikTok, follow TC Talk Sports on there. I post something on here and there every single day. My motto is all sports, all the time, and that's why I want to give all of you. Subscribe on here, follow on there. Please do it. All right, the Pelicans. See, this is where it gets interesting because before the season started, a preview for them would have been a lot different compared to what they're doing right now this season. They have like 6 or 7 of their main guys out with injuries right now. In the offseason, they picked up DeJounte Murray, who I thought would have been a really good addition to this team. You got him, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins off the bench. I thought they would have been a solid team coming into this year, and as of right now on Wednesday, that is not the case. Right now, the Pelicans are 4-11 after just losing by like 40 to the Mavericks last night. They are 14th. There's 15 teams in the West. They are 14th in the West. I mean, this team has had a horrific nightmare season so far. Offensively, almost dead last in every category. They're scoring 104.6 points per game. That's 29th in the league. They're making 43.6% of their shots. That's 27th in the league and 23rd in team assists. I mean, Brandon Ingram has played every game for the Pelicans this season, but outside of him, it's been a different lineup, different rotations every single night, and they are just a mess. Defensively, doesn't really get much better for the Pelicans. They're giving up 113 points per game. That's 18th in the league, so not too bad, but teams pretty much scoring at will against them. They're averaging 48.2% field goal percentage and making 37% of their threes. That's 27th and 25th in the league. So offensively and defensively, this Pelicans team just hot garbage at this point. Will they be able to overcome all these injuries and start winning games once these guys get back in the lineup? Wait till the end of the video and I'll tell you what I think about the Pelicans this year and where they're going to end up at the end of the season. Like I mentioned earlier, Brandon Ingram has played every game for the Pelicans. I mean, he's just a baller. He just wants to be out there and playing. He's leading this team with 23.6 points per game. That's 18th best in the league currently. I mean, not a bad number for playing on such a terrible team. 6 rebounds, 5.4 assists, and he's shooting 36.5% from 3. So, I mean, this team's not really in a rebuilding stage. They have good guys. They have good guys like Ingram, McCollum, Zion, who I'm not a fan of. The dude's always hurt, but they're not in a rebuilding stage. They kind of want to win now. At the beginning of the year, I thought they could do that, but now is damn near impossible, I think, for them. Zion Williamson, one of the most exciting college basketball players of all time, and high school, transitioning into college. He's only played 6 games this year, but in those 6 games, he scored 22.7 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 5.3 assists. I mean, you know he's going to fill up the stat sheet when he's on the court, but just like a couple other superstars in the NBA, I don't think he's a superstar. I'm not going to go that far. But some other big-name players in the league, always getting hurt, never on the floor, and he's been on that list ever since he got drafted into the NBA. Jordan Hawkins, I think he was going to be a really interesting player for this team this year in his second year out of UConn. He's now dealing with an injury, but he played the first 8 games of the season, averaged 16.3 points per game and shot 36.5% from 3. That's really what he is. He's a good scorer. We saw it in college with the Huskies. He's a really good three-point shooter. He's going to end up being a good three-point shooter at the end of his career. Right now, just for this team in the current state that they're in, I mean, he's just hurt along with literally everybody else on the roster. His injury isn't as serious, so he'll be back on the court sooner than later, and he's just going to continue to shoot the 3 ball. I think his percentage is going to increase. His attempts per game are probably also going to increase, but as of right now, sitting at 36.5%. Not a terrible number for a second-year player. As everybody knows, this team dealing with a lot of injuries. Zion, CJ McCollum, Jordan Hawkins, Jose Alvarado, and DeJounte Murray, who he's going to be out for the most amount of time. Murray played one game, his debut with the Pelicans, put up 14 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds, and then he broke his hand in that game. No more basketball for DeJounte Murray. I thought he was going to be a really good fit for that team, but we're just going to have to wait for next year, most likely, to see really how well this core can play together if they all stay together. In the draft, the Pelicans took Yves Missy with the 21st overall pick out of Baylor. Jordan Hawkins recently said when he got interviewed that he thought Missy could have been the number 1 pick in the draft. I think that's a little crazy, but he's not playing too bad for the Pelicans this year. 6'11", 235, big body. He's been awarded that starting center position on this team. He's played every single game this year, averaging 6.9 points, 6.7 rebounds. He's never really been a big scorer going back to college, but he's good to give you like 6 to 8 points a game. I think he could average 10 rebounds in this league as long as his minutes increase and he just keeps being productive. 6.9 points, 6.7 rebounds so far this year. Not a bad start for the rookie, especially with these rotations being all mixed around for this Pelicans team. But I think he has a lot of room to grow. He could end up being a good NBA center. He's playing decent right now, but I mean, Pelicans are just in shambles. Just like my other team previews that are all posted up on this channel, so if you missed any of those, go back and watch them. I'm still going to do a player to watch and a prediction section. My player to watch was going to be Jose Alvarado, who he is now out with an injury. He's going to be out for weeks, dealing with some hamstring problems. So far this season, he had 7 starts, averaging 25 minutes per game. He put up 10.7 points per game, dished out 4.5 assists, and the big number that stuck out to me, so he was shooting 40% from 3. He wasn't really a huge three-point shooter. He's more of a dribble around, make good passes, dish off the teammates type of point guard, but he was shooting really well this season, and defensively, he's one of the sneakier, better on-ball defenders. He has the nickname Grand Theft Alvarado, which is sick. He's averaging 1.5 steals per game. I mean, he's just a solid guy. Normally, he's a bench player, but with all the injuries, he was forced to start. But I think he's a good NBA point guard already. He's only been in the league for a short amount of time. But, of course, out with an injury, just like everybody else. Pelicans, I mean, I just don't see a way that they overcome these injuries. But stay tuned for my full prediction for the Pelicans. Currently, they're 4-11, 14th in the West, one of the worst records in the NBA. More than half of their roster that they started game 1 with is out with injuries. My prediction, at this point, I just think the injuries are too much. Even if some of their main guys come back, I don't know how fully healthy they'll be or how well they'll play all together. So I'm just going to go out and say they're going to miss the playoffs. I think they've already dug themselves too big of a hole to get out of. Brandon Ingram's going to keep hooping, though. Jordan Hawkins comes back. He's going to make a lot of threes. Yves Missy, by the end of the year, I think he's going to be averaging 10 or more rebounds. Come back and see how accurate that is. But, I mean, they just have random guys playing at this point. Brandon Boston has been playing well for them. Trey Murphy is back from his injury. I think he's a good piece for this team, but just too many moving parts, too many injuries. Pelicans will not make the playoffs.